We're good.
Good. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Today is Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. It is 8:30 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and I would like to call to order a special meeting of the Tennessee State Board of Accountancy. Notice of this meeting of the Tennessee State Board of Accountancy, including date, time, and location, has been properly noticed, and a copy of the notice was posted to the Board of Accountancy website on Thursday, August 28th, 2025. Again, board members, if you wish to speak during the meeting, you will have to unmute yourself. Please remain on mute unless you are speaking. Ms. Binkley, would you please take roll?
Yes. Sam Bennett.
Present.
Andy Bonner.
Present.
Brad Buchanan.
Present.
David Crenshaw. Brad Floyd.
Present.
Greg Gilbert.
Present.
John Griesbeck.
Present.
Rob Vance.
Present.
Okay, it appears that we have a quorum. So the purpose of today's meeting is to consider whether to approve an agreed order of summary suspension on license CPA W. Robert Gass under Tennessee Code annotated section 4-5-320. We have provided notice of this hearing to Mr. Gass, and I see that he is not in attendance today. At this time, I would ask Mr. Lott to provide a summary of the facts before the board.
Yes, sir. So this arose August 14th when the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation announced an indictment in Jefferson County, Tennessee against a licensed CPA, W. Robert Gass. The only material provided by the authorities was the press release. However, it was a statement about an indictment based on criminal procedure, based on probable cause, based on evidence with the local authorities in Jefferson County, and as announced by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Based on that, we wanted to look immediately at whether summary suspension would be appropriate. We've seen cases like this. At first, the facts involved dealt with kind of older events. 2022, 2023, Mr. Gass is alleged to have stolen funds from his employer, and he no longer works there. So the statute that we're going under today, Title 4, Chapter 5, Section 320 in the Administrative Procedures Act, allows a board like this to impose summary suspension where there's an emergency, where there's danger to the public, and if imperative action is required. At first, it appeared maybe imperative action was not required if it's 2022, 2023. However, we subsequently learned that Mr. Gass has a pending, we linked up a pending complaint. There was already a complaint in our system from the last week or so. It alleged that Mr. Gass was working with clients. In particular, he was working with a client named Mr. Beeler. Beeler retained Gass to prepare a review report for the contractors board. So it's a test work. I'm getting a call here. I just had to hang up that. Excuse me. So we learned that there was a complaint against Mr. Gass for work after he left his employer. If he's accused of mishandling and stealing client money, and he's currently working with new clients, we viewed that as a more urgent situation. It required review under the statute that I just cited, and we thought it was important to bring to the board's attention. So we sent out a notice, and we put out a request to the chairman, and in conjunction with that, we proposed an agreed order of summary suspension. That is something that we can do with a licensee if the licensee is willing to essentially settle this issue. This is not settling his whole case, it's not settling all legal matters, but just on the question of summary suspension, whether his license is suspended, basically pending other matters. We gave him an opportunity to go ahead and resolve that. He has criminal counsel in his criminal case in Jefferson County. he does not have an attorney for this administrative matter. I've advised him that I can't give him legal advice. We can't give him legal advice. He needs to get an attorney. I told him that. We made it very clear in writing multiple times. We sent him a draft agreed order. Last night I learned he signed it. And that's what I forwarded to all of you. That is a short agreed order by which he agrees to summary suspension. So today's hearing was going to be about summary suspension, and the sole question was going to be whether emergency action is required for harm to prevent harm to the public. The specific wording of that standard is in the statute. Since he signed this agreement, the board does not need to consider imposing summary suspension and reviewing the case to the degree necessary to impose that, to issue that order. However, it's the board's authority to enter this order. Just because the licensee has signed it doesn't mean the board has to accept it. The board is free to to handle the case like it would any other disciplinary matter. And of course, if the board were to decide not to sign this, then probably we would just proceed with some type of investigation and other steps that we normally see in other cases. However, if the board is willing, the board can vote today to countersign that agreed order. Ms. Binkley would do that with delegated authority. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Lott. And Lee, I would also commend you. You've spent a lot of time on this case, and Jen, I know you have too. And thank both of you. Duke, also, you have too. So thank all of you for the time you've invested. Lee, I think also it's probably important just for the board to know. I believe you also spoke with Mr. Gass's defense attorney, and as you mentioned, he did not feel comfortable representing Mr. Gass, or was not engaged to represent Mr. Gass for this specific matter, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, good. Does anyone have comments, questions?
I have one, I guess, a couple of questions. Just and looking at the what he assigned here. So he was employed by this public utility, I think, and he had a firm permit and had a side practice, I guess, or how does that relate together?
I tell you what, I'd like to call on Duke to address that. He's aware of some additional facts regarding side practice. I don't know the date he got the firm permit, but I'm going to let Duke speak on the side practice.
Without having looked at my stuff, without the advantage of recollection here, I believe he got the firm permit after he left the utility there. But we may have gotten to some information recently that there might have been some additional side work while employed at the utility as well.
Okay, so he's leaves employment there, gets a firm permit. Of course, this is a couple of years ago now that I'm recalling this, and is not in the peer review program. I mean, that's correct. I mean, that's the
allegation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the allegation. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I got that timeline.
And I can add this: Mr. Gass was made aware of this pending complaint by concerning the contractors board referral with the client Beeler, and he said he was not aware he had to be enrolled in peer review. So he signed up quickly with Prima. I can't speak in detail about that. I don't know all the facts about that, but as to the peer review aspect, he I think would allege that he's solved that. That's probably the way he would phrase it. But again, all of that's to be investigated and determined.
Mr. Chairman. I've got a question. Does Mr. Gass, does he realize that he's going to have to probably change? It looks like he's operating as a CPA PC. So it looks like Secretary of State, he'll probably have to change his company name. And also he's advertising very heavily on Facebook and a lot of those links too would have to be changed too. Once we enter this or approve this today.
That's correct, Andy.
May I add something, Mr. Gilbert?
Sir.
So when Mr. Gass sent me his signed agreed order, he separately sent me an email with a list of questions that concern some of those exact issues. He wanted to know if he had to change his business name with the Secretary of State, he would change his business name on his checks. He has explained to me that 99% of what he does is tax preparation. So he's hoping that he can continue to do that, which I believe would Section 113 of the Tennessee Accountancy Act speaks to that. It's on tax preparation. So, but he is aware that these are issues. Now, I have not responded to his email with these list of questions, and I have to be careful because I cannot advise him. I'm not his attorney, right? And I'm going to make that very clear when I communicate with him any further, and also get him to kind of confirm back in an email every time I communicate with him. So he, but at the same time, he's a member of the public, and we can provide him with the government, and I can provide any kind of information that doesn't constitute legal advice if I can try to be helpful in any way I can. So I'm going to try to answer these questions for him, but certainly his CPA license is going to be suspended if the board votes to accept this agreement. So everything that naturally flows from that will apply to him.
Mr. Lott, just to clarify, you mentioned the provision that addresses the practice of tax or tax preparation. And so just to be clear, it's our understanding that he can continue to practice tax. Just if this order is approved, he just would not do that under a CPA license.
Right. Of course, it's when we say to practice tax, it's the wording of the statute is very specific. And I don't have it in front of me, but he has to follow the wording of the statute, right? So if it's specific to tax preparation, if he couldn't do anything beyond that, if morphed into a test work, some type of extra advisory work that becomes a test work, or anything that's beyond what's stated in the statute, he can't do that. Anything that the CPA license is required for. So he simply must follow the law, which is 113 and the whole act.
Other questions or comments?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. How long does this temporary, I guess this is temporary suspension. So how long does this last?
Well, by the wording of the agreed order, it is going to last until the board acts further. Now,
Okay.
the order also explains that the purpose of the summary suspension is to keep this, a status quo in the right word, just to keep him unlicensed while these other matters are pending. And of course, the primary one is Tennessee versus Gas. It's a criminal action in Jefferson County. While that matter is pending, this summary suspension order will be in place. And he's under a duty to keep us posted. What happens? We're going to be looking out. We're looking for a disposition in that case. And when we get one, he'll be free to quickly petition the board for a special meeting, or the board can address it if it wishes at its quarterly meeting, and reconsider the case and all the facts at that point based on the disposition.
Rob, under the agreed order, page 3, the very last paragraph that starts therefore, you'll see in the last line, it's suspended and will remain suspended until further action is taken by the board.
Okay. I missed the very last sentence, so sorry.
And that would, again, as Mr. Lott said, that would allow him to petition to the board for reinstatement.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions?
I'm sorry. I'm just full of questions today. were we allowed to have this meeting because of the new action by the legislature? The virtual meetings?
I can answer that.
Oh, okay.
I see Lee smiling. Hi. I know most of you have met me, Laura Martin. In case you didn't remember, I'm chief counsel of this program. So technically, we were always allowed to meet virtually for things that like constituted as an emergency. And then we would just file a statement of necessity. So I think that a summary suspension probably would have been allowed prior to the recent act by the legislature, but the recent act by the legislature would allow us to meet quorum like at the board's discretion for matters that wouldn't necessarily constitute an emergency. I think a summary suspension is something that the only reason we can summarily suspend a license is because we're saying that there's an immediate harm to the public, so we have to act right now. So that would have constituted an emergency. I think that that was allowed. But whether or not you guys meet quorum virtually for other matters, it's going to be kind of a board discussion. Well, I'm sure Jen and legal counsel will also have some advice for you guys on that, but it's kind of complicated, but I'm glad that we have that flexibility now.
Thank you.
Lee, will the action regarding the contractor's license and no enrollment peer review be put on hold with this suspension?
That's a good question. But we'd have to analyze whether it's somehow related to the pending criminal case, and if it is, litigation monitoring would be an appropriate recommendation there for the board to consider. But I'm not certain that's required, because just shooting from the hip, I'm thinking that they're pretty separate. So it might be that it shows up on the next legal report. I should say, instead of using phrases like that, let me just say, I'll get back with you.
Are there other questions or comments? Okay, so at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the agreed order of summary suspension of Mr. Gass CPA license.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other further discussion? Okay, Ms. Binkley, I suppose we should do a roll call vote.
Yes. Sam Bennett,
Aye.
Andy Bonner.
Aye.
Brad Buchanan,
Aye.
David Crenshaw, Brad Floyd,
Aye.
Greg Gilbert,
Aye.
John Griesbeck,
Aye.
Rob Vance,
Aye.
Very good. I believe the ayes have it. So the board has now voted to approve the suspension of Mr. Gass' license. While it is suspended, Mr. Gass is not permitted to conduct any activities for which a CPA license is required under the Tennessee Accountancy Act. The board will enter an order to this effect. I would instruct Mr. Gass to please keep the board apprised of all material developments in his other legal proceedings, especially the outcome of the pending criminal case in Jefferson County. With nothing further, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for taking time this morning to help.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.